If you are a
This
lady,
lady is
this video is
86
for
years
you.
old.
Are you
When
that
you look
lady
at
that
her,
is very,
you
very
might think she has
selective,
many
that
grandchildren, but
always
you are wrong.
selects
She is
men
a
like say
virgin
na
and has never had
backloot
an
or
affair
na
with a single
okirika?
man in her
This
entire
video now
life.
for you.
Believe
Come
me when I
watch
say
how
this.
this
Sophia has
86
never
years
been married
old
and doesn't have any
woman take
kids.
remain virgin
But what makes her
for the
story
rest
so
of her
interesting
life.
is that
Watch
she
this
never
video to
slept
the
with
end, make
any
you
man
understand that if
since
you know
she
say
was
you be
born.
young lady, so that you will not end up making the same mistake that she made.
What made her remain a virgin all these years? It's hard to believe, but the mistake that got her here is one that many unmarried girls still have today. I'll never forget the trip I took to Tanzania to meet Sophia because her story amazed me more than any other story about older virgins I've ever heard.
Mimi jina langu Sophia Saidi Maishi, mkao mwenyeji wa Masasi. Masasi ndio nyumbani kabisa nilikozaliwa ni Masasi. Na miaka 86.
My name is Sophia Saidi. I live in Masasi, which is also where I was born. I am 86 years old. I am not married and I have no children. Furthermore, I never slept with any man. In short, I'm still a virgin. I don't have a job now. Before, I used to sell vegetables and fruits, but I had to stop because I'm old. Now, I can't do much. I farm and sell what I grew. That's how my life is now.
When she was a young girl, she grew up like most people. However, she was different because she did not spend much time with others, especially those who were not the same gender as her. This was not common compared to other girls. Instead, she was very interested in being wealthy. She liked money and nice things a lot. Because of this, no men would talk to her.
I didn't like making friends or getting close to men. Often guys would come up to me and say they loved me, but I was always busy with many things. Also, whenever a guy approached me, I would first look at him and try to figure out if he had a good future ahead. I would look at the man and think about whether, if I started a relationship with him, we would become rich or stay poor. At that time, I thought I was being really smart by thinking this way, but now I can see the results of those choices.
In many African countries there are different traditions. In some of these traditions, families help their children find husbands or wives. This was also true for Sophia's family. However, she felt differently about this. She had her own special feelings and thoughts. Because of these feelings, she did not want her parents to choose a husband for her. She wanted to make her own choices.
When I was younger, in our family, we had a rule where you marry a man chosen by your parents. But I always told my dad that I didn't want to marry a man they picked out for me. I wanted to fall in love with a man I found on my own. Because of this, I often stayed away from home to avoid the man my father wanted me to marry. If a man came to our house and I thought he was there to marry me, I would run away, and no one knew where I went. In my mind, I believed that age didn't matter. I also thought that as long as I was a virgin, I wouldn't miss out on marrying a wealthy.
While she was avoiding marriage, time was passing and she was getting older. She began to realize that her behavior might be causing problems. So, she started to become more open and let men talk to her. However, because she had always had strong beliefs, she still acted in ways that showed she hadn't completely changed. She still held on to her principles.
I reached a point where I noticed that no guys were talking to me, and I realized there was a problem. So, I began to accept their feelings, but I still had one issue. I stopped caring about how much money a guy had and started to care more about how he looked. When a guy came to see me, I would notice his appearance. Sometimes he was tall but not handsome, or he was handsome but short. Even if I found a man handsome, after talking to him, I would find something that made me unhappy. And when I walked on the street with a guy, I felt it didn't look right. I made a big mistake by trying to choose based on my own feelings. This also led to no one else coming to show interest in me.
After acting this way for a long time, she only gave one guy a chance. She says this experience made her think she should be more careful in choosing a partner. She believed that being picky was a smart way to avoid mistakes. But actually, this behavior was setting her up for regret in her later years. She thought she was being wise, but she was actually making decisions she might be sad about in the future.
I once dated a guy, but our relationship did not work because he wanted more than just love. He wanted to be intimate with me, but I believed in waiting until marriage. Whenever I was with a guy and he wanted to be intimate, I would make an excuse to go to the bathroom, but then I would leave and end the relationship right away. After experiencing things like this, I realized that he was not the right man for me. However, I also thought that the behavior of these men affected how I am today, but I know that most of it is because of my own decisions.
After all these experiences, she realized that for many years, not even one man talked to her much anymore. She started facing many negative outcomes because of her past actions. She ended up living with regret, wishing for the relationships and opportunities she had turned down for so long. By then, it was too late to change what had happened. She felt sad about the choices she made in the past and missed the chances she had once rejected.
Now, I blame myself for everything that happened. I realize nobody else is responsible. I really regret how I acted in the past. If I hadn't run away from the men who wanted to marry me, my life could be different now. Nowadays, it seems impossible for a man to marry me, and finding someone who wants to date me feels like a dream. It feels like it's been 50 years since anyone told me they loved me. I don't have children, a husband, or anything really. I didn't know much about nuns before, but I learned about them later. I decided that if they could live without husbands, then I should accept my situation and live like that too.
The effect on her life is very big. Now, she finds it hard to be around other people. This difficulty comes from the things people say and the way they act towards her. This has made social situations challenging and uncomfortable for her.
Majirani wengine walikuwa wanazungumzia kama wengine wakiniona naona huyu wenda anatembea na mume.
The people living near me began to question why they hadn't seen me with a man yet. Some of them told me to just ignore the gossip and let people say whatever they wanted, but they all started treating me badly. I couldn't get support from my family or anyone else. My family had concluded that I would never get married, so they distanced themselves from me. I was left with no one to talk to, and they were all shocked by how things turned out. At that stage, they had nothing else to say except to blame me for everything that had happened. They thought that I was the reason for my own situation.
Since then, she has remained without a husband or children, and no man has expressed feelings of love to her again. She takes care of herself at home alone. If she had children, they could have helped her with many things and brought her great joy, especially since she could have had grandchildren by now. Now, she leads a lonely life. Her dream of becoming wealthy when she was younger did not come true. The men she turned away might have helped her achieve her dreams. As she has gotten older, she doesn't have the strength to work. This makes it hard for her to earn a living, buy food and afford other things she needs. Money has become a significant issue for her due to her lack of physical strength and resources.
One important lesson I've learned is the value of respecting everyone. I didn't fully appreciate this before, and that's a big reason why I'm living the way I am today. Now that I am older, I find that no man wants to marry me. This situation has had a big impact on my life. I don't have anyone to support me or help me with my needs. If I had a husband, I would have a family like other people, and I believe this would have made me happier. Instead, I am living a life that is hard and unhappy, a life that nobody would choose if they had the option.
Some of these character that made this woman to remain a virgin for the rest of her life is still happening to some young ladies today. You go see suit or your suitor go call you say no fine. Some of you go say no get baby. Some go say no fine. Some of una go say it too tall. Some go say it too short. You better learn from this lesson now. Make the same